Let's go back to our 3D view. Just hit Control and up arrow to go out of the maximized view. I don't really know if it's that called that way. Anyway, so with your object, your emitter selected, just go to the physics buttons, and there's a lot of panels that we're not going to use in there. So we'll focus on the soft body tab and the collision one. Make sure you have the particle system selected in the drop down. If you don't have it that way, you will activate soft body for the meter, and this is not what we want. And again, this process will be basically based on tweaking the hair, the values a lot, like we did when shading. But let's have an overview of which are important things to keep in mind. First off, I went back to the particle mode, and this is the right time to settle the wave value for the strength. This is one of the values that will determine how our hair will behave later on when we try to animate it. And the other values, important values for this are the G minimum, G stiffness and G maximum. I guess G means cold. Also, the dampness will be a good idea to play with it. But basically, we can start changing the values and see how it behaves. So if we hit Alt A, it will animate, and you can see right now the hair goes down and disappears. So let's start changing a bit some of the values. Let's go back to weight painting in particle mode and set most of the hair to 100 so we can see how stiff it looks. I'm really wasting a lot of time with this. We could be done by now if we have unchecked the occlude background geometry button and painted everything. Well, we're almost done. So let's start the animation again and see. Right now it doesn't move. There are few spots in there that haven't got the same weight as the rest. Which I'm painting right now, but if we do this, the hair won't move at all. I'm just doing it so you can see it. And there's no strand of hair moving. Usually you have to compromise between how much weight you paint on the strands and how stiff and how much uh, the soft body will preserve the shape of your hair. There I'm changing, trying to paint only the tips of the hair, leaving the roots with the maximum amount of weight. The values I usually find useful in this are uh, somewhat slower, smaller values for the hair, and just use the goal stiffness and maximum to determine how much the hair will move. I've been changing the values a bit, so let's do a final check, and I'm going to bake the holes in, and meanwhile you can see I've done a test render of how this bake resulted, and it doesn't look right at all. So we need to keep working on it, but I'm not gonna show it in the tutorial because it will take too long. So once this is done, uh, let's skip ahead and I'll show you the final values for everything. Alright, this is the final values I had on the particle system subbody. First off, I selected the vertex group as the goal for a weight, and this is the stiffness and maximum values I used. Also, let's have a look at the weight painting. You can see I have uh, most of the hair with a very low value, just some of the strands with bigger strength. Basically, the strands that are more separated from the rest and need to remain in the same shape. And this is it. This is the more important values we need to use. I also lowered the mass of the hair a bit, but let's have a look at a couple of different files I had from the hair so we can compare the settings for all of them. This is another hair system I've animated with a width field that we're going to see how it works right now. And here you can compare different values. The mass is set to 1 instead. This is a bit more stiff. I haven't used a vertex group in here because I didn't use it to generate the weight. And most of the strands in here have a more strong weight. But it basically depends on the final result you're looking for. And let's have a look at another hair system. This is in another head that looks somewhat more similar to what we've been doing. And again, is the result is a combination of different stiffness, maximum, and weight paint of the particles. In this case, most of the strands have very low value of weight, just as we did now, and only the top of the hair has weight closer to 100. Only few strands in the bottom of it remain in the same shape. And just keep in mind that you have to combine all these different options to get the result you're looking for. And once you're done with it, you can add some fill options to animate your hair. In this case, we're going to use a wind field. I already have it in the scene, but I'm going to add it again so you can see how to do it. Also, you should always have your field and your hair particle in the same layer. It may work if you don't do it that way, but it usually won't, so keep that in mind. And to do it, to use the field, just add an empty, and in the same physics panels, the first one will be for fields, and select the one you want from the drop down. You have a few different ones like vortex and magnetic and a few more, but we're going to select wind. When you select it, there's some new options. We're going to use sphere from that drop down, and the Z axis of the empty is the one who will determine the direction of our wind field. And as you can already see, if you go up with the strength and play with the Z axis, you can see how the hair particles behave. So I'm going to use slower strength, and let's move our wind field and rotate it in a different way so it will aid in our final result. Also, you can change the noise value so it will have more variation in the effect. And I'm there activating the fall off, and as the tooltip says, a value of 2 is the real gravitational fall off. I haven't used it in the final result, but it's something quite useful. And that's it. This is the final result of our file. Oops, wrong file in there. I'm going back to the file I already had in there, so you can see the values I used in this wind field. You can see the fall off is off, and this is how our final result looks. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and see you next time.